California, land is being snapped up, not for farming, but for what lies beneath. And the buyers? They aren't families or local growers. They're Wall Street-backed firms. And they're after one thing: water. Across the globe, something alarming is happening. Fresh water, the most basic human need, is being hijacked by investors. It's being stored, priced, and sold off like oil. And the public? They're being priced out of their own survival. This is no conspiracy theory, it's already underway. From the US to Australia to Chile, water is no longer just a utility. It's an asset, a bargaining chip, a source of profit. And unless something changes, it's going to get a lot worse for everyone who can't afford to buy in. You've probably heard the phrase, water is the new oil. It's more than a slogan, it's a business model. One where scarcity equals money and control means power. While leaders talk about climate change and infrastructure, the real battle is happening underground, where water rights are being stripped from communities and sold to the highest bidder. So here's the question. If water is essential to life, why is access being turned into a luxury? Let's start with the United States. California feeds the nation, but at a steep cost. As rain and snowpack shrink, farms have turned to pumping underground water at massive, unsustainable rates. The result? Sinking land, collapsing aquifers, entire communities left without functioning wells. In 2014, the state introduced what was supposed to be a fix, the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. But instead of enforcing limits, it created a loophole, a market where water could be banked, traded, and ultimately monetized. Suddenly, the most profitable crop wasn't almonds or grapes, it was water itself. Landowners stopped farming and started hoarding. Investors flooded in, buying up parcels not for agriculture, but for the water rights attached. Hedge funds and private equity saw a new frontier: water as a financial asset. And just like that, a quiet land rush began. One that had nothing to do with food and everything to do with control. Water was no longer a shared resource. It became a business. Critics call it groundwater gentrification. And they're right. Wealthy districts secure their supply. Meanwhile, working class and rural communities watch their taps go dry. In some towns, families rely on bottled water because their wells have completely collapsed. And now, Wall Street is getting even bolder. In 2020, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange launched a water futures market. That's right, investors can now bet on the price of water. This isn't just about hedging risk, it's about turning basic survival into a portfolio opportunity. Who benefits when water gets scarce? Not you. But it's not just America. This model is spreading worldwide, and the results are terrifying. Australia once had one of the most celebrated water trading systems, but when climate shocks hit, it turned into a disaster. Financial firms began buying and hoarding water licenses. Small farmers were outbid. Rivers dried up. In 2019, millions of fish floated belly up in the Murray-Darling Basin. Behind the scenes, officials uncovered corruption, collusion, and a system rigged for profit. Sound familiar? In Chile, it went even further. Water was fully privatized under a dictatorship, and corporations have held control ever since. Rivers critical to indigenous communities were diverted, restricted, or degraded. Massive protests erupted. The people demanded change. And now, Chile is rewriting its constitution to reclaim water as a public right. So what does this mean for you? It means the price of water is going up. Not just in theory, but in your monthly bill. Because when water becomes an investment vehicle, your access becomes someone else's leverage. Here's how it works. Municipalities often buy water from wholesalers. If the wholesale market is controlled by private investors or subject to speculative pricing, that cost gets passed straight to your home. The more water is hoarded, the higher the prices. The fewer protections in place, the faster the spike. That's how Wall Street can make money while your bill doubles. Add to that aging infrastructure, underfunded utilities, and political apathy, and we're staring down a crisis engineered from the top. Why is this happening? Because it's profitable. Investors don't need to farm. They don't need to live in drought zones. They just need access and timing. Meanwhile, the rest of us are left with the consequences: rising costs, water insecurity, and a future where basic rights are auctioned off to the highest bidder. This is not just an environmental issue. It's economic warfare dressed up as free market efficiency. If water is life, then financializing it turns life into a privilege. So, who should control water? The answer should be obvious: the public. Democratically accountable systems, local communities, not investment banks, not speculators, and not multinational agribusinesses. We need to see who holds the rights. We need to regulate how they're used. And we need to put guardrails in place before the last aquifers are drained and the last public utility is sold off. Because once this system is built, it's almost impossible to undo. This is a global trend, and it's moving fast. If this video raised red flags for you, share it, speak up. Tell us what's happening where you live. Is your water bill rising? Are wells running dry? Is your town's water being controlled by a company you've never heard of? Let's expose what's happening before it's too expensive, too unequal, and too late to stop.